Everyone, Big Dave here. Let's talk today about being a leader. What does leading mean in today's businesses, and what are people looking for in leaders? A lot of that gets confusing because you're like, what am I supposed to do? And you don't know what you're supposed to do. And it's not commonly talked about. But leadership principles remain the same as they did years and years and years ago. Just the amount of information coming through is a lot more, so it gets confusing. Let's clear this up a bit. Leaders think like a business partner. Said differently, leaders think like an owner. Maybe even said differently, leaders think like people who can make a decision and can move an organization. Don't think, oh, wait, I got to get approval for that. That is not what leaders and how they think. They think they can make a change, do a change, and move forward. Now, this isn't true in all cases because you want to make sure cross-departmentally it's all making sense. But in general, a true leader is looking for what they can do to improve every moment of every second of every day. Now, is that possible? No. But if you continue to think via improvement and you lead this way, what happens is your mind transforms into a fixing machine and you become the true leader you've always wanted to become. Because remember, whatever you focus on is what you turn into. All right, let's get on with this podcast. If you're listening to this and you're a current leader, maybe you're a business owner, you already know this, that for the most part, as we look at how things have worked, is that employees show up, punch clock, do their thing and go home. But that's not what employees should be doing today in most cases anymore. Now, if you're working at a factory, I will even begin to say, yes, that's part of it. But even factory employees now, if they can learn how thinking as they're doing a process and punching in, punching out, and following a process, how can they make that better? If you can get them thinking that way, it applies throughout the entire organization. But this really applies majorly to leadership, because if leadership isn't doing this, you don't have a chance of anyone else in the organization doing this. So remember that if you're a leader, you're not someone who just punches in and punches out. You're not someone who just does the same thing every day. That's not what leaders do. Leaders are changers. They change the organization and improve things. And in fact, in today's world, it's even more important you find true leaders and or train people to become true leaders. It amazes me that people won't spend money to train people so that their organization can go faster. I don't understand it. Give your employees the best shot for success. Give yourself the best shot for success. And I don't get why people don't do it, but they don't, because it's almost like they're afraid of it. Or they go to some big corporate thing and they use some corporate thing that gives you all this jargon, but don't show you how to actually use it. Nuh-uh. That just don't cut it in today's world. Today's world, you have to be able to show what you train and how it works in real time. That's the key to leading. Real-time results. You know, let's really face it. There is a big difference between showing up for your job, being an employee rather than owning your role. Meaning that you understand it's clear, direction has been given. That comes from the top. If you're the top, that's on you. But there's a big difference between someone showing up and doing their job and someone showing up and owning a role. Let's discuss that difference. If you own a role, you're always thinking, how can I make this better? What are the things as a group we can do that makes us more effective? If you're not owning the role, you're asking, well, what's required? If you are owning the role, you're asking, what else is possible? What else can we do? Because you already know innately you expect to be told and or shown what is required. Your mind's not what is required. Your mind is what else is possible. See that difference? And this is a really good way of summing up everything I've been talking about in these short few minutes. True leaders don't just execute. They elevate. True leaders elevate. That's the best way to sum this up. They're asking questions in their mind saying, how does this impact the ROI? How does this improve our situation? What are the things that now that we've done that makes it better or could do that makes it better. It's always on their mind because they're always looking forward, not backward to what didn't happen, not making excuses to what happened already. It's more of how you're looking forward to make things better. And if something doesn't work, you don't just stop, you move on until it does. Every time you think you fail, I look at it as you're one step closer to success. And that's the truth. Because if you have a mind that's always going forward, success is right around the corner. And then the next success and the next success and so on. I think I've kind of, how do I say this? I've talked about this so much in so many of my discussions and podcasts that I have to keep talking about it because it's truly that important, even though I keep talking about it. Why? What's your why? It's so damn powerful. Once you understand the power of the question why, and let's explain this personally on a personal journey. What is your why and to why do you do things? I don't want to go into this today because that we've talked about, and it's something that we keep talking about, and it's going to give you direction, motivation, clarity, all that stuff. But here, the power of the why is that decision the right decision? Or why is this direction the right direction? Understanding that why has so much power. And as a leader, you just don't want to sit there and go, this is the direction we're going. You want to know the why are we going that direction? Because if you know the why, that's where your power lies. Let me give an example of this. Sometimes there'll have to be a decision within a company and they cut a product out. They're not going to they're going to discontinue it. They're not going to make it anymore. And what a lot of people will just originally think, oh, and this sucks. This is going to lead to layoffs. This is going to lead to all kinds of things. But if you know the why as a leader, you might just be surprised. If you go, all right, let's figure this out. What's the strategy? And you ask the question and you hear the strategy, you might just hear, hey, you know, what we're doing is we're focusing all of our resources on higher margin products. Now that's some good news because if they can get higher margin products, easy for me to say, then that's actually going to create stability, not instability. The exact opposite of what a company direction is trying to do, of what the employee's thinking, because they don't understand why that strategy is important. Where the truth of the matter is security is better if they make this decision for all the employees. There's such a difference there of understanding why. Why is so powerful. And it breaks down from a personal side all the way down to a leadership side. On the leadership side, why did that strategy make sense for the organization? And you as a leader have to understand it. Because once you do, you can explain it and move your entire organization, your entire division all the way successfully and run and not cause undue harm or stress to people that isn't needed because what's happening isn't what they think is happening. I think at this moment, a lot of you might be going, well, all right, that's great. This sounds good, but how do I do this? And my answer to you is this. Ask yourself just 3 questions. If this were my business, would I be making the same decision? Now, that might be a little complex. That might get your head going because you're not going to be thinking like as a business owner. But strategic thinking is required as a leader these days. There's too much information coming in that if you're not strategic about it, you're going to get lost. And if you ask yourself, if this was my business, if I was making the decision, would I make the same decision? This inherently is going to start changing your mindset. And you might find out from yourself that you're more conservative or you're more aggressive. But when you ask this question, you're going to start to understand the why, because you can ask better questions when things are explained to you by your management, by your leaders. See, that mindset, it doesn't change you overnight, but it changes you so that you start to understand the inputs. So then you can explain it to people so that assumptions aren't made. And just that's where organizations go crazy, is all the assumptions. because it's never explained. As a leader, it's your job to make sure it's explained. The second one, am I creating profit or am I consuming it? Interesting question. That's number two. Are you a person that is allowing the organization to become more profitable by figuring out how to do things better and or be introduced into more markets? Or are you the person who stays costly just because you think it's safe? Or are you the person that isn't improving anything and is just stagnant? Am I creating profit or am I eating it? And here's the third one. And you should probably write all these down. Am I creating opportunity? Am I creating opportunity for my team to succeed, or am I making it harder for them to succeed? Ask yourself those three questions, and you might change how you're leading. Because if you're indirectly making it harder for them to succeed, you want to change that. You should be a conduit to success for your entire staff. That's your role as a leader. True leaders like to simplify. And the simpler it is, the better chance you have for success. So remember these three questions. And when you ask yourself these three questions, write down your answers. Ask questions. Write down their answers. Rethink about it again, all three. What am I doing? Am I creating opportunities for my people to succeed or making it harder? Am I creating profit or am I consuming it? Am I eating it? And if this were my company, would I make the same decision? Ask yourself those questions, write down your answers, then ask questions so you understand the answers from above. Once that alignment happens, something magical absolutely happens. The direction of what you can do and your confidence just skyrockets because now you understand direction, you can make decisions faster, and you're all aligned. And when that movement and alignment happens, it is just amazing because now all of a sudden you're churning. And when you're churning, everybody is safe, everybody is happy, and everybody is profitable all the way through. And why do I say these simple things are so important? Because when you use these things as a leader and you get your team to be cohesive, communication becomes so much simpler. You don't have to use as many words and people are like, I'm on it. I understand. People are going to be more autonomous and say, I know what I got to do because this is the direction we're going and we're all on the same page. And they also know that if it's a mistake, the manager isn't going to kick their butt because they know that they're all going after the same page and they're one step closer to a solution. On top of that, innovation occurs. And innovation isn't like always just new products or new services. Innovation is steps, innovation of thinking, innovation of process. All that starts to occur. And you get the benefit. And the other thing that I found that I loved is problems were solved before they ever hit my desk. And I like that one on a personal level. And your culture becomes alive. And it's so much fun to see an organization just move as one unit and become alive. Now, that doesn't mean things are perfect within the organization. There's always going to be issues, but for the majority of it's moving all in one direction. You're doing a great job when that's happening. Remember this line. When you own your section, that creates engagement. And if people understand the why, the engagement skyrockets. And engagement is what fuels success. The opposite doesn't, which is I am doing what I am told exactly. Engagement fuels success and fuels your team's success. And that comes via you as the leader. That's it. That's all I have for you on this one. But I want you to remember these things. Own your mind. Perspective matters. Own your actions. Own your results. Have a great one. Can't wait for the next one. Talk to y'all later.